Spike, thank you so much for joining me here on Spolitics. I will start this podcast with a question that I feel like you are going to completely knock out of the park. It is a question I ask every guest that appears, and that is name an athlete or a moment that made you first love sports.
I was too young to remember, but I remember my father taking me to Old Guardians on 8th Avenue. I remember my father taking me to Shea Stadium. I remember my father taking me to Old Yankee Stadium. The New York Giants were horrible. Then I think White Tittle was all I know was cold. I was like, Daddy. we had a blankets. We were sitting up in the. I said, oh my God. But I come from the era where fathers took their sons, and much later daughters, at an early age to introduce them to sports. He always told us about his high school heroics in basketball and football and all that stuff. But growing up in Brooklyn, my guys were Willie Mays, Ali, Walt Frazier. Those were Namath. Those were, and then there's something I don't know what to describe the word, but when you meet your boyhood heroes, I was never disappointed because I was grown. And then to know that Muhammad Ali has seen my films, Namath, Willie Mays, Walt Frazier. I know the one I really, of the four, I was really still close to is Walt Frazier. He was my favorite, still my favorite Knick of all time.
Mm.
So we're not going to talk about basketball on this because you know what's happening. You
Oh,
know what's going to happen this year.
we talking
And I don't
about
hear nothing about
basketball.
Golden State.
We are definitely going to talk about some basketball. But before we get there, at the risk of this conversation starting in an awkward place, one thing I don't like to do with my viewers or my listeners or what have you is play in their face. And of course, people know that you and I worked together on the Colin Kaepernick documentary. I've seen what you
Right.
said on the red carpet. I know that you are very limited in what you can say. Um, I didn't sign an NDA, but out of respect for obviously you and Colin, I'm
Mhm.
not speaking out of school. And so
Yeah.
what I would say is I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you, one, for allowing me to work on this project and for giving me a real insider view to your process, to how it all works as I dip deeper into production and understanding what that is. And so I
Mhm.
wanted to take an opportunity um,
Mhm.
to thank you for that in person. And also just to say to people out there who are maybe watching this from afar, you know, don't believe every narrative that you see. And
Mhm.
also,
And also thank for that. But here's the thing, though. This thing happened more than a year ago, and the reason I never asked about it, and so it's on the red carpet for the Pump Brothers thing. I just said what happened. I mean, it wasn't. I wasn't trying to blow up the spot, but it because no one's heard anything. Sort of way it's reported like this just blew up. Well, as I said, it was more than a year ago that this what this unfortunate thing happened. So it's not like new. There's nobody said nothing, and I ain't never been asked because no one knew. It just like that's all it was.
yeah. Well, I will say this: I can be naive or foolish for believing this, but I'm hoping that people do get to see this one day. I'm hoping that
Oh, I hope
happens.
so too.
Yeah.
And I just like to say that on your platform, on your show, I have nothing but love for yourself and Pat. Pat is just Colin. It's all love. It's all love, and artistical things. Sometimes it doesn't come together. So I've seen at the Black Met thing where we Negroes took over at the Met. We gave each other a big hug. So it's all love. It's all love.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you were able to throw that out there and set the record straight. But now
Yeah.
let's talk about highest to lowest, which I had an opportunity to see myself beautifully shot. Of course, that's
Maddie
not
La Maddie
the
Lapetit is the
yes.
DP.
And just well done overall. You, of course, you collaborated for the fifth time with Denzel Washington, who I have to say, I need to know this, Spike. Who was it that convinced Denzel to rap? Did he? Was that just creative license? Was that something you're like, hey man, I'm gonna need you to drop some bars? Denzel rapping was the unexpected treat I didn't know I deserved.
It's a genius. This is genius because it was never intended to be the way it was written, the turnaround battle. And but Denzel is an honest artist, and his goal is field. He knew that this something extra was needed here. This is a showdown, high noon, and so in the middle we're rolling the camera, and Denzel starts dropping bars from Nas's Illmatic. I'm looking at my what the is not what the scene's about. And also, I gotta give my love to ASAP because he didn't miss a step. So when Denzel started dropping bars, ASAP got it too. He had to get his character. At one point, the line was like, "Well, this is a rap battle," and it lifted. Here's the thing, though: we have a great scene. It lifts the whole movie and just amplified this thing between Denzel's character, his character, David King, and ASAP's character, Young Felon. It just took the film into stratosphere. And it's surprising because just like you said, you weren't the only one who was surprised. Man, people are like, damn, is there anything Denzel can't do? The motherfucker's rapping. He's Jordan.
He's the
He's
Jordan of
Jordan.
he's the Jordan of acting.
He is Michael Joseph Jordan. I
Mm.
mean, when you see somebody on that level, and this is our fifth film together. Hopefully, it won't be the last. It was just, and they were going at it too. You know, Denzel would come with something, Rocky would come back with it, and then I can't say before, but he's again like, what is this, a rap battle?
No, I think for a lot of people that have followed ASAP Rocky, they will also be pretty surprised, I think, by his performance, only because we've seen him as a rapper, so we know we know that he can do
Now
that.
he brought some extra though.
But he brought something extra, correct? So what was it about him that made him a fit for this role?
Well, he's been on my radar. My wife produced a film with him in it earlier, also that John David Washington starred in, and I brought him in to read with Denzel. We try to fake it like it's a not an audition, but Rocky knew it was, and it was Denzel's final decision. Is he good enough to be in the scene with me? And we see the result. We see the result.
Denzel brought this project to you. So what were your first impressions when you saw what he wanted to do? When you saw the script?
Well, he didn't tell me what the script was about. So I'm going to send it to you. FedEx. I said I'll read it tomorrow, and before I hung up the phone, I knew he was doing it. I didn't even know what it was, but if my brother from Money Earned in Mount Vernon wanted to reach out to his brother from the People's Republic of Brooklyn, we had not worked. Inside Man was 18, 19 years ago. It not seem that long, but it was.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either. I was like, wow, is that much time has
Yeah.
passed? Yeah.
Denzel and I did not know that length of time had elapsed. So I didn't even. I mean, I didn't even recognize the phone number when I picked it up. I said, "Who this be?" This Spike, yo, this is D. So it was a blessing, and he said, as much in doing publicity, he said this is New York, and this film's about New York, the script's about New York, and I trust and love Spike to. That's why I call him.
Mm. So many people have made note, for understandable reasons, of the chemistry that you all have together. Denzel is now behind the camera himself as a director.
Yeah,
So, what do you think that he may have learned from working with you that he has brought to his directing?
you would have to answer. I've learned not to speak for my brother. And I do not want to make that mistake again. I do hope we want to do one more films. I'm not gonna. You and my sister, my beloved, you have to ask me that question yourself.
Touche, touche. Now, but you have heard Denzel talk about retiring, and
And
that
that's
he,
why I was saying
yeah.
this will be your last film. But after he said that, then I'm reading he's doing 4 films signed up for. So I pray that this 5th film will not be the last one. We'll do a 6th.
Okay.
I'm not saying no more that this film be the last film where I thought he was tired. Or at least he said he was tired.
Well,
But he must have changed his mind somehow. I'm, you know, I'm still in the game, so I'm hoping, but hope.
well, I mean, since we're talking about retirement, Spike, how much longer do you want to do this?
So we have to wheel me to sit. All right, are we ready? All right.
So basically, as long as you can say action, you're gonna do it.
Woo! Action and also cut.
So I'm gonna flip the question on you. I asked you what you thought Denzel might have learned from you. I'm gonna ask you then, what do you think you have learned from Denzel that has made you a better director?
Well, I don't know how anyone who's had the pleasure and honor to direct this man, who I feel is the greatest living actor. No disrespect to my brother Renero, my brother Pacino. I don't think that Scorsese would take that, as a look. It's all love. I don't think that the love you have in sports about who's the goat, especially this exploded with Michael and LeBron. I don't think that's in film and TV as the way it is in sports. I love everybody, but I've never worked. I've never had the honor of working with. But I think that the relations we're talking about are made in love and not necessarily competition. So that's the for me that's the big difference.
With the experiences that you've had working with Denzel, how does this one compare to the other times you have worked together?
That's a beautiful question, and the honest answer, each one's different. The movie's different, the script's different, the people in behind the camera are different. We're different in our private lives. Hopefully, well, no, not hopefully. We've gotten older as we come to. We're like we're the seasoned, grizzled veteran, not the hot shot rookie. We're the old heads. That here's the thing about if you're a real great old head, you pass on your knowledge. You know this in sports. Those old heads, spring train, whatever, they see who's the next phenom. They say, son, sit down here. Or sister, sit down. And then they break down the science. These are the dudes and the don'ts. And so Denzel and I were old heads. We're old heads, you know. Next year will be 40 years since I've been doing feature films. She's gonna have it came out in 1986. Bam! And I think there's obligation for the experienced people to pass on the knowledge, but it may sound like I'm hating, but I'm not. A lot of times the young cast don't want to hear it. They think they know it all, like they've been here before. And the old heads, like, look, no one's paying me to do it. So if you don't want to listen to me, do what you got to do. And many times they end up making giant missteps. Now I'm not talking about me. I'm just, especially if they heard it from Denzel. If Denzel trying to tell you something and you ain't listening, normal response is,
What is it?
crack is whack. I got you cracking up, right? Pun intended. How
So
is it? How is it that someone who has achieved greatness over a longevity and you're not going to listen to them? Motherfucker, you just got here. Yes, it showed up. I don't
so
understand that. And that's not just in sports, too.
no, that's like across the board. Like that applies. But you, Spike, you have been young once. You already know. Um it's why my grandmother used to say all the time that youth is wasted on the young. She used to say that all the time. And the reason why was because when you're young and you are ambitious and you have this strong desire to chart your own course and path, you tend to get so locked in that you kind of dismiss the wisdom that the people who have been there and have gone through that same thing, what they've been through. You make the mistake of thinking that things are actually new under the sun when they actually are not new under the sun.
And also, I like to say, not to cut you off. Look, there have been times in my life where exactly what your sweet grandmother just said. Grandmothers, I'm going off right here, just off topic, because my grandmother put me through Morehouse
Mm-hmm.
and NYU grad film school and gave me seed money, but she's gonna have it. For 50 years, she taught art in the segregated South, Macon, Georgia, and Atlanta, Georgia. 50 years. I said this before. Some people might be familiar with this. For 50 years, she never had one light. For 50 years, she never had one white student. And 50 years, she saved the Social Security checks for her grandchildren's education. And as she would say, Spiky, I was the first grandchild. So she I mean, we could draw so much if we're open from the people who made sacrifices, so we could just sports analogy, move the ball further down to the goal line. And I listened to a lot of people, but my grandmother, I was yes, mama, yes. So there's just certain elders. It might be your parent, your grandparent, it could be a cousin, or uncle, or neighbor. That if you're smart enough to listen to that knowledge that is dropping and incorporate that to help you to maneuver, as Prince said, this thing called life. So I'm giving up to grandmothers. Why is it grandmothers, not grandfathers? Why is that? For me.
Grandfathers do too. I mean, my
For me,
grandmother.
it was my grandmother.
Okay, for me it was mine. My my grandmother, she had been married 3 times. So there was no grandfather that I got a chance to know.
What?
Yeah, they were all deceased by the time I was born. So didn't
Well,
have
she had 3 husbands,
she had 3 husbands.
and they're all dead.
They were all, you know what?
Before,
They were all dead.
wait a minute. Let me put one.
I see what you're doing, Spike. That is
What?
not.
Where was this in the South?
No, it was not. My grandmother, she was born in Kentucky, but she migrated to Detroit, right? So
Detroit.
to Detroit, to my
So she
city.
was married 3 times, and they're all in the dead, huh?
It ended up. I promise you, this is
What?
purely a
Well,
coincidence.
let me ask you one question.
Oh, here we go.
Because what type of sweet tea did your mother?
Listen,
oh,
I promise it was all
wait,
different natural
that
causes.
sweet
Okay.
tea your grandmother make was potent.
You about to mess around and walk me into a true crime documentary. They all 3 died of
Now,
natural
would
causes.
you, would your grandmother leave it out on the porch and let the sun, let the leaves do their thing before it's drunk?
Now, 2 of the 3 died when they were already divorced. I just want you to know that, okay?
All
2 of
right.
the 3. I think the third one may have passed while they were still married. And far as I know, no sweet tea was involved. Okay. Far as I know. All right. So yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a great story, and
See,
it's true.
that's that filmmaker. That's that filmmaker in you. Uh, but since we were talking about young people and what they can learn, I'm curious: was there something an a veteran tried to tell you that you didn't follow their advice and it wound up backfiring on you?
That never happened. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. Mostly Melvin Peoples, Ozzie Davis, Gordon Parks, they encouraged me. Now, I don't know why that made choices, but they never, come here, son, let me sit you down and, teach you the game and let me pull your coat. That never happened for me. And I'm saying whether it's good or bad. I'm saying they were proud of me and encouraged me and said, keep on. Especially Ozzy. Especially Ozzy, he was a lot of my films. And then he was happy, I was if he was in there, then Ruby was in it too. Ruby
Yeah,
D.
yeah, Ruby D, him and Ruby, you had them both and Do the Right Thing, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Jungle Fever too.
Jungle Fever. I was gonna say it was another one too that I was thinking
Yeah.
about.
Mhm.
So of course, naturally, I saw this conversation pop up a lot when Sinners came out, and there were a lot of comparisons to Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan with you and Denzel, that they're giving us the modern version of what you all have
Mhm.
done. What did you think
Well,
of
we're
those?
not in the old folks home yet, but go ahead.
Yes. What did you think of those comparisons?
Uh, First of all, I didn't, I don't mess with that. But that Sinners is such. That's the best film I've seen in years. In that sequence where they deal with the music going back to our ancestors who were stolen from Mother Africa, brought here the year 1619, brought here to do what they did, which is build this country. Free labor from Kansas City in the morning, Kansas City at night.
Hmm.
So I don't know what all this bullshit woke stuff is, but to know, here's the thing though. My sister, our ancestors had the vision to know that one day their lineage would be free and that they would not see that in their lifetime, their parents' lifetime, their grandparents' lifetime, but they knew one day that would, that the official bondage would be over. And sometimes it looked like I think our ancestors are proud of us, and something else was like, what the fuck? What are you doing? But all love, all love. And I think that, look, I'm only speaking for myself. When I think about my grandparents and what they saw would be the extent of their life, they saw in their grandchildren that they were be hopefully in a world where they could do more, be free to do more. So, ancestors, our ancestors.
Yeah, I agree with you about what you said about that scene in Sinners. And I think I read later on he had to really fight to keep that scene in there because they wanted to cut it. And it was a beautiful scene that obviously helped people understand just the through line of African music to what we see today to hip hop. Like he's taken us on a historical journey. You know, Ryan Coogler has been able to set himself apart from a lot of directors. What do you think it is about him that allows him to set himself apart?
Storyteller, a writer, director. He doesn't need somebody writing the script for him to have a project. He writes his own. A writer, director, director, writer, and his co-producer is his lovely wife. So, not that many people can, work side by side and be married. I'm not making any judgment. I'm just saying that that team solid, solid as a rock.
Um, Getting back to highest to lowest for a minute. I know what I took away from it because it really helped me, or not helped me, but it really made me think about not just the proliferation of stan culture, but also the attention economy that we live in. Um, what are some of the things you want people to take away when they watch this?
To be honest, my sister, I really try to refrain from telling people what they should expect, but I'm going to make an exception for you because I love you.
Thank you.
This film, which let's start here. There was a novel called King's Ransom, written by Ed McBain, that was adapted by Kurosawa to making the film. So the original source is a novel called King's Ransom. And for me, I went back to I read the book too. It's about morality. And when you have a dynamic, brilliant actor like Mr. Denzel Washington from Money Earned in Mount Vernon, when the people when you are on that level, the people watching the film are they're transported into Denzel's character. And when that happens, you put yourself in a position like, what would I do if I was in that situation? And when you can do that, it's a God given gift. So when people see this film, and I knew it was gonna happen, and I've sat in several audiences, New York and LA, wait the lights down and then snuck in. People are brought in. They're what Denzel's doing, they're going through now. And they ask themselves, what would they do if they were in that situation about morals and scruples? And it's not a blanket answer. People are gonna answer that question depending upon who they are, what their values are. But it's thrilling to be in that ride that Denzel gives us. Now, there are some people who put their mother on the corner. Other people will chop off an arm. for a child, even a friend. So I found that when you deal with morality, that just raises the stakes. For me, that raises the stakes. Everybody is engaged.
Yeah, and I would add to that that
Please do. Please do.
because me and my husband we saw it together and we debated about it, and I think one of the things that comes out of that is not just what your moral code is what is your moral code when you don't have skin in the game, right? It's like because
Then it gets a little shaky.
then it gets a little shaky, right? Because
Yellow shaky.
yeah, because you can say what you would do for you and yours,
Mhm.
but if you and yours are not impacted, then what you gonna do?
Blood by blood too.
Right,
Blood.
right, by blood, right, correct. And so that I thought was a beautiful twist that it was like, oh, because the answer was obvious when it was one way, but then when it became another way, the answer wasn't so obvious, right? So that's something
Yeah.
that the people who
And
watch it
that's
need
the
to sit with.
genius of the book, the original
Mhm.
novel, which the great Kurosawa took it to another level.
I wanted to ask you about something in terms of how you describe this film because I thought this description was really, really incredible. What you said is that you wanted to take a quote jazz musician's approach to it and put some hot sauce on it. What does that mean?
Well, my beloved, my sister, there's a tradition of great jazz musicians taking great works out of American songbook and doing their reinterpretations of the song. The biggest, like, the one I always go to is Julie Andrews singing my favorite things, from Sound of Music. And what did Coltrane do with that? There's a long line of great jazz musicians who've done reworking, the reinterpretation of songs from the American sound book. And so I said Denzel and I, we were jazz musicians. And I'm a son of a great jazz musician, Bill Lee. So that was I said that if I want to understand the difference between a remake and a reinterpretation. That's why the title is this film is not called High and Low. It's called Highest Two Lows. And the two is a letter two. And that's a shout out to Prince. Because many times, he'll flip it, and use numbers for words. So that's a shout out to my brother. Man, Prince was so funny, man. His humor was hilarious, man.
Everybody said he was a cut up.
We weren't even watching the game. he was he was so spiked. Look, what is that? What is that sister wearing? Oh man, I miss. We had that night. I wish I could have recorded that, man. We weren't even looking at the game. We were just sitting next to each other and cracking up.
Well, as you said earlier, your film career is now spanned almost 40 years, which is crazy to me. Um,
She's gonna have in 1986.
yeah, that is crazy. So, looking back at your career here, what is a Spike Lee joint that you love to redo? Like, if you could go back and say, you know what, I'd love to redo it, do that, and do it differently. What what movie would that be?
To give you an honest answer, I don't think like that. Just it's not like we were growing up and playing a game. We say do over, do over, do over. No do overs, and you have to learn from your mistakes. Be humble enough to learn from mistakes. Don't repeat it and keep it moving. Keep it moving. Because here's the thing, though. And I'm glad you brought this up, my sister, my beloved. There's no way I will reach 39. No way I'm going to reach 40. There's no way I could have reached 40 years doing films if I'm thinking about do overs. You gotta. For me, also, I'm thinking myself. I can't get stuck in the past. Keep it moving. Now look, people do what they want, but I'm on the other side of the Zoom,
Mhm.
and that's always been good, right, or wrong. Keep it moving.
Mm.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
All right. So, what's the Spike Lee
So
joint?
what's the other question?
Okay. Well, what's the Spike Lee joint you think deserves a prequel?
That's the same as the sequels.
I mean, not quite. It's a
But
backstory.
here's something I will tell you,
Mm.
which you might find interesting. The day School Days came out in the theaters, people been telling me that should be a Broadway show. And that School Days was 1988. And people still say that. Do School Days as a Broadway musical. And I'm going to do, hopefully one day, I'll do that.
Well, you see how they did The Color Purple. They
Yeah,
came
yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
they did. They did a
I
musical.
can't blame anybody else. It's me.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I just have not felt that I want to do that. But I just want to say that the public has wanted it since first day that came out in the theaters. So we'll see what happens.
So, if a prequel is kind of like a sequel, is there a Spike Lee movie you would have wanted to do a sequel to? I feel like I know the answer to this one, but go ahead.
No, but here's the thing though. People have asked the day He Got Game came out, people said
That
we
was
ain't
the one
doing
I was
that.
thinking. He got
And let
game.
me tell you this. I can't remember the number of NBA players who asked me about that. Also, here's a tricky thing, the sneaky thing. During a game, they don't go that there's a foul, and the rest, well, they don't go get on the line already to take the free throw. So over the years, 7 players just on the slide, just walk next to my seats up. Be like, and that they're not looking at me, but they got the voice where they're looking at me, but the sound comes out the back of their neck. Yo, Spike, was it the sequel? Was it the sequel? That was like motherfucking tranquility. I'm looking around, where's this coming from? I'll tell you, there's some ventriloquist, motherfucking ventriloquists in NBA because they be sitting down. I'm like, Spike, I don't know who's talking. If I wish I had $1 in every player since that film came out who's asked me to be in that film. You know Skylar Diggs?
I do know Skylar Dickens. Yep.
Yes, she was the first woman that said, Spike, you need to do that. And of course, she's going to have it. She was the first sister, the first lady in the WNBA to say that. She has
Okay.
been the last.
So I was told though, along those same lines, because I think it's been brought up before that if you entertained it, it would be She's Got Game, right? And so I I heard somewhere that Marion Jones was somebody that you might have been considering for that when she was
The
obviously
track?
the track Marion Jones. Is that true?
No, that's not true.
That is not true. Okay.
Why would I look?
Well, I mean,
How do I know she would play
Marion did,
basketball?
yeah, Marion did play basketball. She won a national championship with Carolina. She did. so,
And then she went to live with
so she left basketball because a lot of people were very critical of this. She won a national championship in 1994 with the Tar Heels, women's basketball. She stopped playing basketball to pursue a track career.
I don't remember that.
Mm.
But that I never heard.
Yeah, she did.
Oh, I believe that, but
Yeah.
I know got her connected to.
She's Got Game, possibly.
It might be true. I forgot about it, but
Okay.
I remember Skylar.
Definitely want
She
to
was
do it.
15, right?
Yep, Skylar Diggins. Since you brought up how many NBA players like, hey, yo, put me in the sequel or whatever. Did you ever think about doing a feature film project with your boy Michael Jordan?
A documentary or narrative?
No, not a documentary, but like making him an actor. like,
First of all, Funny story. The first commercial we did, Mars Blackman. I mean, these commercials really put Nike into the stratosphere. I must have had Mike do like 100 dunks. The next year, he says, Spike, I'm giving you 2 motherfucking dunks and you better get it. Motherfucker. Oh, I've had the honor, pleasure of being called a motherfucker many times by Mike. Little motherfucker. Yeah, Spike, don't come with that motherfucker shit now. The honor and the privilege to be called a motherfucker by Mike.
I mean, very few people can say
Sometimes
that.
I'm thinking like, call me a motherfucker one more time. It sounds so great to come from you. Because my brother would say with so much love.
I bet.
Now, I got the good motherfucker here. I know there's another motherfucker. I never got that one. I never got that blast. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, I can't say I see Mike as an actor, to be honest.
What?
I said I
What'd you
can't
say?
say that I see Michael Jordan as an actor. I can't say.
You never had the patience for a movie.
Yeah,
The
and that's
waiting
why
for
mostly because he
he
doesn't
may
strike
had
me.
that for shooting a commercial.
Yeah. Well, since we are on the topic of the NBA, let's
Go!
talk about your Knicks. All right,
We
Spike.
are New York. We're not basketball. Nah, 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 nah. I forgot the words.
So, how did you feel about them firing Tom Thibodeau?
I felt bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
Great coach, great man. And sports is a tough business. And Leon Rose and World Wide West and other individuals felt that a change had to be made. You know, I wasn't happy to see this happen. But the talk was that change might be made. Last year, the Knicks starters led the league in minutes. And it became a question of utilage. Is that the word? Utilage?
Usage.
Yeah. Thank you.
Usage.
You know, I got that Brooklyn public school education. So usage of the bench.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing to say bad about my brother, Coach Tibbs. If I saw him right now, I'd give him a big hug and a kiss on the cheek, you know. And I known, although I know about him, I don't think he's vengeful. I think he wants to win the Knicks to win a championship. And he built this team. You know, look, it's tough business, but not me. These other people, this far we're gonna get with him. But let the record state, anywhere we go, you know, the foundation was built with him in what, 5 years there? So, and also, to be honest, we haven't won since 72, 73 seasons. It's been over 50 years. And I just like to make a comment on that. May I?
Go right ahead.
That's been too motherfucking long.
I'm like, I wasn't even born when the Knicks won a title. I'm like,
Oh, that's generational. And look, I've said this many times. I don't want anybody to get hurt. I was not jumping up and down about the career. What could be the career, not career, but excuse me, year ending. Oh, that was a mistake. I meant not career, year ending injuries with Halliburton. I saw Jason, my brother, this summer in Martha's Vineyard, and I gave him a big hug. You know, a couple little jokes, but I don't want nobody to get hurt. And it seems it's the Eastern Division is well, don't sleep on Orlando. The young boys there, but we should. I'm not worried about Cleveland. They went out the first round last year, but you never know what's gonna happen in sports. But if this ain't the year, I don't know.
Mm. So, Spike, I always end every podcast with what I call a messy question, designed
Hey,
to make
I'm
a hit.
ready. I'm ready.
Designed
I'm
to make a
born
headline.
born ready.
All
Born
right,
ready.
you are. You were born ready. So there is a lot of speculation that things may not ultimately end well between LeBron and the Lakers, given the structure of what his new extension is. They're looking at Luka as their future. They have to deprioritize LeBron. And I wonder, as a lifelong Knicks fan, would you like to see LeBron as a Knick before his career ended?
I don't like that. Thank you for that question, but I gotta speak in private to my man Richie Holmes. Because my man
Oh,
is doing it.
yeah.
People are hating on him. He doesn't have this and that. And my man, I ain't got nothing but love for my brother, Richie. He's doing his
Yeah.
thing.
Rich Paul.
He, yeah, he's doing his thing. And look, who knows what's gonna happen? But sports, you don't know what's gonna happen. But people in New York, I gotta say this: people in New York do still have a certain feeling about that whole thing where they had the press conference. People think it's coming to the Knicks, and it was like the okey doke, the flim flam.
I'm sure you read the backstory of what happened in that meeting.
You know, I don't want to go into that right now.
Yeah. I'm
I
like,
have a
Spike,
more,
they couldn't tag you in. Like, they ain't
I
tag you
have,
in. Look,
I
you're
have a
right
more
there.
sister. I know we have to end this, but I just want you to know that I have a glow around me. It's orange and blue, but the thing that is not the glow is not seen to the public.
Well, Spike,
So let me finish this. The quote: Donald Byrd and the Blackbirds. I'm walking on rhythm. And for those who've not heard that classic, look it up. Donald Byrd and the Blackbirds walking in rhythm.
okay. All
You
right.
know, you know the song. You know that song,
I do
right?
know that song, yes.
You know that jam. Old school cut.
Well, Spike, thank you for spending this
Thank
time
you.
with me here on Spolitics. It's always a pleasure when we have a conversation. I'm not going to take it personally that when you were naming off all the teams in the East, you didn't mention my team, the Pistons, but that's okay. That's all right. Okay.
Oh, we not. Let's not talk about that playoff series.
Yeah, let's not talk about it because I still ain't over it. And
Why is it? You thought it was a ref call or something happened like that?
yes, it should have been a foul. Okay.
Oh,
It should
come
have been
on.
a foul. Game four. For
Hey,
us
just let me guys say this real quick.
mm,
I have nothing but love for Motown. The people, the music.
you about to diss
So
us. I can feel it.
I got
You about
no
to diss
beef.
us.
I got no beef with Motown. And people treat me great until that last playoff game.
You already
I had
know.
to get it down quick.
You already know.
I was on my man Al Palagil's plane and we were out of there.
Jalen Brunson is a dirty word in Detroit right now. Trust me.
Why?
Oh man, we I went to game 4. We booed the shit out of him. Yeah, like well, of course, he's a dirty word right
Did it
now.
have an effect on his performance?
Sadly, it did not. Sadly, it did not. But it's all good.
All right.
We lost. I think all the home games we lost in that series by a total of 6 points. So we knocking
Now,
on the door.
didn't one of your guys get in trouble or something?
Yeah, Malik Beasley. I don't think he'll be back in the Pistons uniform. So, but that's a conversation for another day.